Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And I have Rob Potter here with me today. And if you don't know who he is, I'm going to preface this show with a little bit of information about him. And here's what he says. He says, my entire life has been filled with a calling and a longing. These longings and search for love and truth have been a blessing and a curse. Isn't that the truth? I've always wanted to know who I am. Where did we come from? What is our purpose here? And why is there so much suffering and discord and anxiety on our planet? Why is the world so distorted and fractured and so caught up in wars, pollution, ignorance, superstition, and fear? Even as a small child, I could see the answers to many of the world's problems were simple and easy fixes if mankind would but realize the folly of his ways. It seems every question I've pondered that was answered opened up 10 more. It seems I was never satisfied. Well, Rob, we're so excited to have you here. Welcome to High Road to
Thank you
Humanity.
so much. It's an honor to be here today.
Happy you're here. You know, Rob's going to be at the Sedona Ascension retreat, okay, that Suzanne Ross is putting on. It's going to be March 18th through the 20th, 2022. And I'm going to be there, and I hope you guys will join us there. Now, before I get on with it, I got to talk about what's happening with humanity, you guys. And this comes from the New York Times. The headline reads, Ukraine live updates, scope of sanctions debated as Putin orders forces to separatist enclaves. It says Washington and its allies called the Kremlin's recognition of two separatist regions a blunt defiance of international law that risks war. A top EU official said Russia's troops had entered eastern Ukraine, but stopped short of calling it an invasion. Well, I think that's what it is. On Monday night, as tensions deepened between Russia and Ukraine, President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia ordered troops into two regions in eastern Ukraine where separatist forces are friendly to Moscow. You know, this goes on. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just will say that, Biden hasn't done anything about it because I think, they want war. They want to go to war because it's profitable. I'm just going to throw this out there. Whether or not they ban me from YouTube, but they want war because it's profitable. But we have to stand up, you guys, and say no dice. And what he's doing over there is really not cool. So, I hope people realize what's happening. Rob, do you want to say anything about this? Because this is not a cool thing that's going on right now.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that I revealed in some of my blogs. I haven't posted them yet. Number one, Putin is dead. They have a body double. His head size has changed. He looks like a little mouse with big cheeks now. It is not Putin. Biden also is CGI. He may be in a hospital. He may be around. The general named Hayden is masquerading as him. They've had various body doubles. I actually think it was Jim Carrey who was body doubling him at the fake inauguration. But
that makes sense.
There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Look, there's something called the Black Sun. This is a negative dark force, the demons that were cast down from the higher heavens into the earth. This is referenced many times in the Bible and the ancient text. And I respect the teachings of the avatars and the Bible, although it has to be interpreted, many things have been taken out. I throw out the bathwater of religious dogma, of popes, of priests. No one stands between you and your mighty God presence.
Right.
Christ came to teach that. And I follow the teachings of the avatar of Christ that we're all children of a living, loving God. So we need to get along. We need to love each other as our brother and sister. And we need to basically guard each other like the pupil of our eye. So that's one of the things that we have to do. And it's so simple. If we would but do unto others as we would have them do unto us.
Correct.
So
Right.
there are tremendous activities in what I call divine intervention. And from my meeting with the Pleiadians and Venusians back in the 80s, I understood the efforts of the Pleiadians, and then in 82, I started meeting Venusians. So that's a whole nother story. They're our closest ally, and they are the head of the Galactic Confederation of Light, 601 worlds and 51 solar systems. And we'll get more into that later. But
Right.
so they told me, Rob, don't obsess about the darkness. We have it well under control. And I was like, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, does it? Because we're watching all this stuff go on, and I know there is a war going on now. You do talk, or I looked at your website. He has a wonderful website, thepromiserevealed.net, and there was a lady on there talking about global peace and what's really happening behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And I want to rewind a little bit. There were a few things that she said happened in January that changed everything. Can you tell the audience about that? There were some events that changed. There were some agreements that are no longer valid, from what I understand. Is that proper?
Correct. Her
Okay.
name is Kim Gogan, and
Yes.
I
Thank
have
you.
some blogs here on my website that I'll just take you there. If you want to allow screen sharing, I can share.
Oh,
some.
yeah. Let's share.
So basically, what happened is 16,000 years ago. Actually, there's been a kind of a dark force of rebellion going on, and these are from beings from the higher, let's call them more eternal realms, because we're all eternal beings. We all, some people say, do you want to live forever? Well, we all have a soul and we live forever in a certain sense. So we incarnate, we go through various what are called chains or rounds of existence, and we start out as a rock, and eventually our souls gather what the Buddhists call aggregates of consciousness, and we become a sentient being. What we have now is a meat suit, which is an avatar of a spiritual body from a higher dimension. You have an oversoul that is existing and simultaneously in 8 parallel universes. I mean, it's so wild out there when we start to discover who we are. And
Right.
our job here is to consciously manage our energy. So what happened was there was a group, and it was led by the Dracos, and it's called the Luciferian Rebellion, and a bunch of beings in the 5th dimension were persuaded by this being Lucifer, and one of his primary converts was a being named Sataniel, who was very peaceful and instrumental in stopping a genetic war a long, long time ago, 150,000 years ago. And so they were cast down into the lower dimensions. And there was a super Earth here, which is now our asteroid belt, the Kuiper belt, and then finally the Oort cloud, or the remnants of those particles of that world that was destroyed. And they basically came in and they like to parasite off of worlds. These are like roving gangs who are attached to material control and power. So that infiltration in Atlantis took place again 16,000 years ago. The Pleiadians were very instrumental due to their technology in protecting the Earth, and they had abandoned the Earth for a period of time. And as always, the reptilians, they infiltrate, they come down, they hide inside the Earth, and then they start doing what is called body snatching, like the body invasion of the body snatchers.
Yeah, because we're like their food. Isn't that proper? I hate to say it like that, but that's pretty much what it is, isn't it?
Alex Collier, my friend, who'll be at my conference, revealed that as well. So
Yeah.
basically what happened was there are these covenants, and the multi-dimensional federations, they live a long time, so they honor these covenants, because the bad guys, you violated our covenant, and they could destroy worlds, entire worlds. They've done it, and they do it here. They were responsible for the shift when it was discovered that they were here in Atlantis, influencing the humans. And we are a hybrid of a Neanderthal and extraterrestrials. The missing link is an extraterrestrial intervention, which there's a lot of history there. So basically these covenants ended. And so now the dark hierarchy, see these elites in the world systems of power, they're the bottom of the food chain of the reptilian and the Draco control matrix. There are also Andromedans, Pleiadians, and many other beings. The number of angels that fell from the higher dimensions is beyond count. Many of these worlds have already been redeemed and are following the natural laws of the creator throughout the universe.
Okay.
We are on the radial edge of the galaxy, so we're the last to be cleared. I've talked with a little being from the Taurus cloud sector, not the Pleiades, but from Aldebaran. His name is Kim Jim, and he told me that, he says, our planet it's like a pearl necklace. Ours is the next in line to light up. So there's great interest here going on because this is the end of the reign of darkness. There are multiple galaxies here now to end the transhumanists and foreign agenda. So there's going to be a solar micronova that'll take place. It'll do an EMP at some point here, and all of the AI and everything's going to shift. And he assured us everything's going to be okay. So what happened on the beginning of the new year was some covenants of 1,008 years and another one of 3,000 years ended.
Right.
They did not appeal to Kim Gogan, who was representing humanity based upon her DNA. So it was a brilliant move that they put the person in charge of the quantum system used to be in control of some Draco reptilians that were harvesting human energy resources. And
So they didn't realize is what you're saying, and that's how it went through.
they don't have any way to contact the demons now. The demons, jinn, the portals of darkness, that they would sacrifice children and
all of that.
And they bring in these non-organic, non-human entities that attach to people and feed on you, pretty much like the Matrix. I know it's so out there, but
yeah,
the good news is it's over.
It's over. Hey, we got to go to commercial break. And gosh, Rob, that's a lot of information. All right, you guys. Yeah, we've got more here today with Rob Potter. This is Nancy. You're out. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back.
You're invited to Sedona, Arizona for a Sedona Ascension Retreat taking place March 18th through the 20th, featuring world-renowned authors, speakers, and practitioners. This includes spiritual journeys into the sacred vortex sites of Sedona, as well as interactive workshops and a UFO skywatch. Visit SedonaAscensionRetreats.com.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and this is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Rob Potter. We're talking about what's going on with humanity right now, and he's sharing a lot of really interesting information with us. Rob, you said you have a really cool website, the promiserevealed.net. If people are interested in looking at some of this stuff, you said you had some stuff you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, I thought I would share. I'm going to take you a little bit on people on a little tour of my website because we were talking about Kim Gogan there. So I wanted to share with you my website. So here, this is, we'll go to the homepage in a minute, but this is my blog. So I have a lot of information here on the pyramid systems and stuff like that. And,
yeah, I saw that. That's
so
cool.
I have here some stuff on Kim Gogan. So I did a 3-part series. I actually interviewed her and what she talks about this. And so I reflected on the Kim Gogan interview. And then I also have some a 3-part series. It's pretty long, but it takes you through all of her information. It's very complex. Mm-hmm. So my blog is pretty interesting. So I wanted to share with you here also, besides well, there she is. This is the blog. Let me share that again. I guess I dropped it.
That's okay. It was interesting. I watched part of it yesterday, and I wanted to see if you'd expand on, a little bit of information about her.
Okay, they're doing a quick maintenance. I hope it's not taking my whole website down. Let me see.
Oh no.
So I have a series. I have a book page here.
Okay.
With my friend Raymond Keller. He now has, I have added another book. I have a 6-series book, and then he's written these books on Venus. He was actually taken to Venus.
Oh, wow.
This is my little book on Venus. It includes some recordings and questions and answers. This is my friend who came from Venus. Her name is Omnek. She was born there. That's a whole story. This is a story about my Life with Dr. Fred Bell. I'm the character Eric in this book. I think I'm out. You have to get that on Amazon now, but I might
Yeah.
have to do that. And then there's a Gospel of Thomas that my friend wrote. The Venusians gave him a technology, an
Oh,
agricultural
wow.
technology called the Urim and the Thummim stone. It was used by Aaron on the breastplate when he was go into the Holy of Holies. They'd build a 12 by 12 cubit area and put the ark down, and the priest would stand behind him, and he would use the technology of crystals, and he would get answers. And it's basically like Wizard of Oz. It was a way of the extraterrestrials in the hierarchy of light to talk to humanity without landing spaceships. Because
Gotcha.
mankind had lost the teaching and the knowledge of the laws and the rules of God after the flood. So it was determined that best to not interfere and to show themselves. So there's kind of a rule that they don't want any fourth dimensional or fifth dimensional interference on the planet, because we'll have a tendency to worship them, to envy them, or some of them have a tendency to interfere and to do things that are in kind of violation of our free will. If you look at the Indians in America, or the natives in Africa, or anywhere that higher technology comes in, the culture is destroyed.
Right.
So
That's true. That's
want-
very true.
they want us to stand on our own 2 feet, and we can become a member of these federations. This is Stranger at the Pentagon and that's the individual Valiant Thor who met my friend Dr. Frank Strangers. And my friend Raymond's writing another book. It's not published yet. It's going to be book number 9 in the series. This is a picture. Well, here he is. He's kind of a handsome guy. There's Valiant Thor. And he is a 6th-dimensional being that was not born on Venus. He appeared there one day, and the ascended master Jesus Christ appointed him to look over Venus and head the mission to Earth from Venus. Now here's a
Interesting.
picture of him taken in High Bridge, New Jersey, 2 weeks before my birth, in March, I think 17th in 1957. I've met all 3 of these Venusians here. I met this gentleman in 1984. He came in, and there's a story. I've talked about it many times.
Where'd you meet him? I mean, did he come? Back up a little bit. I'm gonna have you rewind here just a second, Rob.
Uh,
Tell the audience how this all started for you, because we really haven't talked about your story. What's your story? I mean, how'd you meet these guys? How did this whole thing begin for you?
It
Tell
started
that.
out in Laguna Beach.
Okay, my favorite place in the world.
It's beautiful there. Where do you live, by the
Yes.
way?
I'm in New Mexico. I'm in Albuquerque.
Oh,
But
you're
Laguna Beach is my go-to place, and it's been for many, many, many years. And there's a special energy at Laguna Beach. And then I had a lady tell me, Nancy, there's a vortex right here, and you're standing in it in the jewelry store right there by the beach, which was kind of interesting. And there's a sign that right outside on the sidewalk that talks about the vortex. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, it's a very famous location. A lot of Hollywood people came down there back in the 30s. They have it's an art-based colony.
Oh, yeah.
It's an artist colony. It's a very beach culture. I grew up in the 60s in Laguna Beach, and we had a very community feel, very small town. And the beaches it's the best in Southern California. Nothing comes close to it because of the nature of all the coves and the uniqueness. The multi-million-dollar homes on the beach now. I grew up in one of those, actually, right on the ocean. And so we had Timothy Leary live there, the Brotherhood of Eternal Love, the Rajanishnis had a center, the Hare Krishnas had a center, and one of the original contactees from the 50s, George Adamski, who was contacting Venusians and wrote a book called Inside the Spaceship. And I have a history with him. He lived in Laguna Beach too, so there is a vortex there. And my experience started at the age of 16. I started studying pyramids. I read psychic discoveries behind the Iron Curtain, and I was trying to do some of the powers of the mind experiments. And I was talking about pyramids, and a girl at school goes, "Pyramids? I know the Pyramid Man." I go, "The Pyramid Man, really?" So I went up and I met his house. He was on the hill, and that started my association with Dr. Fred Bell. His great uncle was Alexander Bell. His father was Alan Bell, who invented the automatic transmission and the alternator for Henry Ford. So he grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, in Henry Ford's hemp fields, and he was a scientist of a very high order. And at the age of 15, he was studying the shockwave of the atomic bomb. At the age of 17, he was conscripted into the Air Force. And then he worked at got a PhD in physics at 17. And then he, it's like Pat Flanagan, a lot of those guys, super intelligent. David Adair is another amazing scientist. And so he basically went to the farthest westernmost point in the coast called Point Reyes, California, and he was the head tech guy in charge of it. Here comes this 23-year-old kid who's in charge of the entire base's purpose, the radar set. So they started observing UFOs coming in at 15,000 miles an hour and making right angle turns and heading down to the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh, okay.
So he got upset and reported it, and they set him up, and they basically, after 2 weeks, they were burning reports. He said that's illegal. He would go by the commander of the base's house and rev up his motorcycle really loud, and he was a wild child.
He was a hellion.
Right. So basically, they put him in a straitjacket. They gave him an honorable discharge. Then he worked for NASA and did the same thing. He complained that he was working in the actual bell where the astronauts were, and he kept complaining up, and finally got a hold of Werner von Braun and Veneman. So I must talk to your people, but I've talked to everyone except to you, Dr. Braun. They're doing shoddy work there, and they fired him. And a year later, he won his ACL lawsuit when 3 men died at the Cape, and they came back and said, "Oh, Fred, please, well, what they called him, William Bell, please be in charge of our checkout." He said no. So he worked for JPL and Rockwell, and he used to watch every day as the UFOs would hover outside the hangar in Long Beach, and they would send down a little probe. Some people call them food fighters. It's a telemetric ball that would look inside the thing. So when I met him, he had already had some spiritual experiences with a being named Babaji, who also taught me something called Kriya Yoga. That's another story. But
so you learned all this in Laguna Beach, my favorite place.
Some of it, yeah. So
that's cool.
We started to have contacts with the Pleiadians were coming in, and they were taking me out of my body. And then that experience where I met Don Thor was the first Venusian I consciously met, a very famous contactee named Gabriel Green, who was a major force in the 50s. He called me and said, "Rob, the Ascended Master Hilarion has telepathically contacted me, and he wants you to come to my house. He's sending you a teacher." This is because I was becoming unstable with the lights. I would go up to Fred Bell's house, and I would exit my body. I would practice certain breathing exercises and a certain esoteric. I'm not allowed to reveal them, but certain exercises that would help me exit my body. And the Pleiadians would take me up and give me teachings out of body, mostly pictures and images, and I could ask any questions. I never got to meet them physically, and I never saw them, but it was like they were standing behind me and answering questions and showing me different things. And they took me to various areas throughout the galaxy and showed me evolution is difficult to understand, kind of on the cosmic level, and I wasn't understanding. I get in my car, I'd drive down the hill about 2 miles to my house, from the hill of Fred's house, and lights would be pulsating outside my window, sending these waves of love. And I just said, I just want to know. And so what happened was a military guy appeared at Gabriel's house with some other people, and basically he showed me some things about possession, reptilians, and grays. This is in 1980. When we didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you. We're going to go to commercial break, and you can tell us the rest of it when you come back. You guys, I'm here today with Rob Potter, and we're talking about the universe. This is Nancy. You're out. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Nancy. You're out. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today having a great conversation with Rob Potter. Rob, finish your story. You got back to your house. There were lights. There were energy of love being sent to you. I mean, this is really what it's all about.
So Gabriel Green, who had invited me up to Yucca Valley, I was working in Palm Springs. I've been a massage therapist my whole life, working on movie stars and the very high-end world spas around the world. And so these are the three individual Venusians who appeared in Howard Menger's house. Valiant Thor met Eisenhower in 1957 and told him, they had already contacted them on the tarmac, the woman I met. So this is Dawn Thor in the middle. This is Jill on the left. I met her in 2007 and I met Valiant Thor in 2003. I've also met, there were other Venusians with Val Thor and with him, and I met another Venusian at Dr. Frank Strange's Inner Circle meeting in Las Vegas. Okay. So what happened was I went out there and Gabriel Green, this guy showed me some stuff. He was a military guy, and there's lots of shows on that, but basically he broke his mind control. He was working in an underground abduction base with the Greys, and he broke his mind control because he had a car accident, and then the Pleiadians broke him out of jail. I believe it was a Pleiadian. He said a blonde woman with a nice rat came in and she put her hand, everyone went to sleep in the brig. He was going to go to Leavenworth for 15 years without a trial because he refused to work with abduction agenda anymore. He broke his mind control. So anyway, so that's going on. So my association continued with Dr. Frank Strange's and Fred Bell, Dr. Frank Strange is another one. And this is my latest teacher. I'm going to share a picture of him. He's standing with the Commander Aura Reigns, very famous in the 50s.
Okay.
She is the moon-based commander and the contactee. She was friends with Dr. Frank Strange's. She was friends with George Van Tassel, George Adamski, Truman Bethlen, Donna McLupese, and many of the contactees of the 50s when they were able to take out spaceship rides and go to Venus and begin the modern day contact of what I call the Ministry of Angels. She's wearing a red beret because they served in the French and American Revolution, fighting against tyranny and managing the earth. They've done a little bit of auto correction here and there. As the dark force comes in, they keep them at bay. And now is the time for the complete victory of the light. I have a picture of myself with her.
Okay.
Venus is a planet that comes from Tau Ceti. The civilization were called the Norcans, and they migrated to Venus, the edge of our radial arm of our galaxy, 25 million years ago, and they have a super culture. So they've achieved a high technology, which is another long story. But I'm going to share with you another picture of her in the 50s. This is the same woman.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now, her teeth had changed. She's wearing on her on the left is a guy named Long John Nebel. He was the first Art Bell in the 40s. And the guy on the right is Frank Scully, the guy who actually this X-Files is based on.
Yeah, Scully. There you go.
He was a news reporter. And I zoomed in there, but there she is, a giant rock in 1955 or something. She won Queen of Outer Space at the conference. She's quite beautiful. And I'm going to share with you another image of her that kind of, not that one, where is it?
So she's been coming over time to help humanity, is what you're saying.
For over 300 years.
Okay.
So I want to, are you seeing the picture of her on?
No, yeah, it's not showing up here.
Okay, let me stop.
I don't know why. That's okay. Well, so she's your teacher now, you say?
No, she has taught me a lot.
Okay.
Raymond's my primary teacher, but are you able to see her now or no?
No,
Okay. And
I don't know.
I got some other images I'll share. So basically I wanted to share with you this image of, I'll share with you this image of these women here. These are two women that appeared to my friend Raymond Keller in Virginia. They're wearing B pins, and they actually have the actual B pin, which is a solid gold B pin.
Oh, wow.
These women have ascended. They were born on Earth. This woman, her name was Annabelle Krebs. She was born in 1902. And she served in India uh, in a Christian movement, socialist movement,
Mhm.
to help the poor people of India, kind of like during the Great Depression. This woman also was serving there, and they had both translated uh, to Venus. It's a form of ascension. So I'll talk about the Indian girl first.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
She was working for the East India Company as a guide, and they came down the hill, and there was a guy that was very sick and ill, an old sadhu, and she said, "Oh, I must stop and help him. We got to help him." And the East India Company goes, "Leave that peasant. I won't pay you." And she goes, "Go ahead, leave without me." Kind of like, screw you, corporate crown energies. And so she nursed him down the hill. He got down the bottom and says, "You have great compassion." And he took her to Venus, and she became a dual citizen at some point,
Oh, wow.
living on Venus and coming down here. They have a technology that makes them young. So here's the other girl. She was in 1955 or 57. She was taken first to the moon base and then to Venus. And she served in the Angel Force, and she wrote a book called Lady Columba Venus Revelations. And it's about her time travel back to a fourth parallel Earth number 4. Incredible story of time travel and how the Venusians help the Earth in their thing. So she was telling people when she was in 1995 at the age of 93, "I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. I'm going to go to Venus." And sure enough, she went to Venus, and she translated, and she looks just like that now. And she came down and handed the manuscript of her book that she gave to my friend Raymond Keller, and that's right here, Lady Columba Venus Revelations. So it's an incredible story. I wrote the introduction for some of these books and stuff.
Interesting. Rob, I'm going to stop you for a second.
Yeah.
I think the audience wants to know what's going to happen next.
That's up to humanity. It really is up to humanity. So right now we're in the final death rattle of the Dark Force. They are running their show. And the reason it's happening, I think, is that humanity has lost its way. I think that we need to perform citizens' arrests, however possible. The tyrants have had their day. They need to be taken out peacefully if possible, and brought to their knees, and to have trials against humanity so that we can have reconciliation and the understanding that these are not humans. Most of these beings their souls have been snatched out. There's a book called The Emerald Tablets by Thoth, and it happened before. Basically a reptilian or a Draco comes in and takes over that body and is running an agenda. So I've done some videos on that. There's a YouTube site called Soul Space. So what's happening for humanity is the way it's going to happen is Kim Gogan has complete control of the money system. They have no money. They've been broke. She is already removed from the archives, the national archives and the world archives of every government, the IMF, the World Bank. People don't realize the CDC, DHS, Homeland Security, FDA,
all of it
are all private corporations. They are built on profit. So they're heavily influencing the government, and we know they've just taken over. And their idea is to simply create a bunch of world corporations like Bezos, where they control everything. They make billions, and we are slaves living in a pod with a nanoparticleized microchip that can act as a kill switch and to disrupt your body and to basically depopulate the planet. And for those poor souls, innocent people who think they've been doing the right thing by helping, there's simply following a false Satanist agenda.
Yeah, I feel like it's like in the Bible where they say, the sheep. Well, the sheep, everybody's just following along, not paying any attention, just letting it all happen. Now, I have a few questions here because, I'm watching what happened in Ottawa, Canada. These people stood up. I was so proud to see that they stood up. I can't believe they stood up before we did. And then look what's happened to them. They're Their bank accounts have been frozen. I mean, here we see the real deal. So now here we are in the United States. People want to stand up, but they see what's happening over there. People are still standing up, but it's like there's no end to it. Doesn't the almighty I am come in at some point, Rob, and stop all this crap? You know what I mean?
The mighty I am is here. And
Okay.
everyone has a choice to choose it, and that's free will. Unfortunately, our free will has been co-opted by the Venusians, call them intruders or interlopers. The
Okay.
Venusians are here to give hope and to support us in our spiritual knowledge of the truth and the laws of God and the natural order of the universe. So we have to recognize that we've fallen away from that. And unfortunately, we have a lot of myths, and I'm going to say it right now, abortion is literally murder. Now, women want the freedom to choice, but you have a freedom of choice beforehand to be safe, and men have a freedom of choice to be safe and to not wantonly create beings. So there's a little responsibility there. And if you fall back, you just got to slow the roll a little bit and recognize the responsibility that you have. So we have a lot of things that we accept as okay. Money system based on scarcity and lack is money is an energy harvesting. Money represents energy, so that's been controlled. So the money that they stole was by controlling PayPal in a closed loop. It never made it to the banks. So that's how they stole the money, and they're stealing the money for themselves because they have no money, but that's a pittance to them. They would do the same thing in America, and they have never responded to peaceful protests. At this time around, they're in a desperation mode because these are not humans, these are human hybrids. These are elite families that have been bred this way, for a long, long time, and they have a sense of entitlement. They call it
do.
business leaders, and they have meetings, the Bilderbergers, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Committee of 300, the IMF, the World Bank, where they corrupt nations and steal their resources by lending them money that is just printed up on a computer screen. And they've been trying to cash in these fake bonds, but they can't do it anymore. So now all they have is drug running, child trafficking, organ harvesting, and the wars. This war in Afghanistan, all of this is created. It's the same oligarch of criminals around the planet. They meet in secret. There's no Asian savior. Trump is no savior. Trump is talking to Gates, and I believe he's actually passed away of cancer. I don't think we're going to see him again. We saw a buddy double in Florida.
You don't think we're going to see Trump again because you think he had cancer?
I think he's already passed away from my intelligence, but that's going to piss off a lot of people. But
let's talk more about it when we come back. We have one more segment here today, you guys, with Rob.
We are the answer. We are the people. We are the government. They work for us, and we need to enforce that now.
Awesome. You guys, I'm here today with Rob Potter. This is Nancy Earl. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Earl, and this is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Rob Potter, and we've had a wonderful conversation about what's going on with humanity, and we've kind of come to the conclusion, and I just want to say it's time we all stand up, and it's time we all go within and raise our vibration, because it's really up to each of us individually. And the only thing I can say, and Rob, if you want to give your little 2 cents on this, is just be the example.
Absolutely. Do unto others and to treat each other kindly and always have patience. We have to avoid those 7 deadly sins. So I'm going to share my summer conference, which is coming up here in July. We have a lot of great people. So this is, I'll show you how to get here in a second. So we got my friend who lived on Venus for 2.5 months, Alex Collier, Vivian Chavez. She's an Arcturian contactee. David Wallace, a new guy. Who getting technology, including portal traveling technology for our space program when we take control of it from the bad guys. Lowell Johnson, who went inside the Earth. An incredible lineup here. All the information here is tickets, dedication to Raymond, all the information about it. And I'm going to show you, if you want free tickets, you can come. I have different positions you can fill. But if you want to know where to stay, here they are.
Oh, nice.
They're free. I got it all. Mineral Springs, bed and breakfast,
Oh,
campers,
wow.
hotels, Airbnbs. All the links are here.
Okay, you
Airport.
guys, it's in Mount Shasta. First of all, let me just say it's a summer conference in Mount Shasta. And, all these different speakers are going to be there. It's from July the 7th through the 10th. And yes, thank you so much. I'm going to come to this. I'm going to come see Mount Shasta. This is a big deal. So, how this goes for a few days. So, everybody will be speaking. Talk a little bit about what's going to happen here at
So
the.
I have two different venues. I have my conference has grown. We can only fit 243 people, and I have 150 guests and support staff with speakers and stuff. So I've rented two locations. One is at the city park, and so I have these other things. So I'm also going to be appearing. If you use the code Rob10, you can get to the Sedona Ascension receipt if you're free, March 18th to 20th. I'm going to be there with Michael Jaco and Sasha Stone. He's not on this thing, but some other people are going to be there as well. It's going to be a fun one. This is the homepage. So, and then there's another friend of mine doing a conference, and I'm doing the online pyramid stuff. So, check out my website. The references blog, Victor of the Light, is I showed you a lot of great information. There's Raymond Keller, the great wizard of Cos. They call him Cosmic Ray. So he's friends with the Venusians. They land and speak to him all the time. They handed him a technology that allowed him to look into the past life of Jesus in a bilocation signal. Amazing, wonderful, positive
Wow.
thing moving forward. We're going to learn the history of everything that's been going on with this technology. We're going to have educational courses of the Akashic Records so we can see the history and know it. In order for us to become a member of the Galactic Confederation, Nancy, we have to achieve several things on our own. They're removing the 800-pound gorilla of the reptilians and the Dracos. We still have a human element to contend with, traitors to humanity, criminals of the highest order, oligarchs, massive murderers, psychopaths, 9/11, false flag, liars, cheaters, thieves, lie, deny, repeat, and they continue on. So unfortunately, we have become complacent and apathetic, and we have to change the cry of Patrick Henry from give me liberty or give me death to give me liberty or give you death. You people in positions of power who are violating our Constitution. It's time for the military to get off their knees and to uphold their oaths of office. And if they need to arrest the colonels and the people that are ordering to do this, they better hurry, because the United Nations is bringing in foreign elements. This is the plan. But there's no way they're going to do it in America. We've got too many guns, and the resistance will
I think
come.
so. Yeah, I think so too. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but we all have guns here. And I've always thought that, and I've always known that. And, so to rewind a little bit, everybody was for Trump so much because he stood up for us, and people wanted to stand up, and they felt like they had a leader. And of course, the election was all whatever it was. And you say Trump is no longer around, and he had always talked about the military, standing up, but you don't see that.
Well, I think he had some good intentions there. And I don't think Trump was necessarily, he's definitely what they call a black sun type of guy. He's into power and money. That's where he's at. And huge ego. He does grab girls' pussies and have affairs. We know that. So there's no high ethic or moral standard there. Now, how did the if you die now of a vaccine, how come the insurance companies won't pay out? Well, it's an experimental vaccine. How did they get that going, Nancy? It's called Operation Warp Speed. Who signed that? Trump. Okay. So he's the one that enabling them. They let Fauci in front of them. He never arrested anyone. His son-in-law is Jared Kushner. He owns 666 Madison Avenue. And Jared Kushner also went to the grave of Rabbi Shearson with his wife, the daughter, I think it's Ivanka or
Ivana or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, the daughter. And that guy said, kill everyone except for the Jews. We have a right to rule. So there is and those aren't real Jewish people. Those are, it's a whole narrative. We're set against each other, constantly dividing Christian against Jew, Muslim against Hindu. I mean, it's just on and on, good and old, rich and poor. We have to come together. These are prerequisites that we have to achieve on our own. Number one is a truly representative form of government, not one that you vote based on a slogan and you choose between the left hand of evil and the right hand of evil. It's going to unwind it. They have no money. All of Congress is going to be fired. They're already fired. They don't know it yet. The new de jure assemblies will be run on local county level. And so you can look up that through Kim Gogan and be part of that process to make the transitional government. The money system has to be fair and equitable distribution of resources. Representative government, we have to stop killing life. We have to audit all corporations that are creating poisons and toxins, and that's going to end Monsanto, pharma. We have to make sure that we have clean, pure water. We have to stop them spraying us like rats with metals around the world from this New World Order agenda. Now, remember, the Bible says Satan will have the power of the principalities of the air.
Right.
We also, so all of these things, we have to end wars. So these are the basic prerequisites, and they can't do that for us. But we have to stop supporting them. I don't know. If I was younger, I'm not like that, but I would go into stores if they required a vaccination. I'd go in with 20 of my rebel big boys, and I'd go in and I'd kind of trash that store. I wouldn't harm anyone. I would do a civil disobedience and send a message.
Well, yeah, and I think people are standing up. I've seen a bunch of videos and stuff where people have seen kids stealing and they've said, hey, stop, put that back. What are you guys doing? I think people are starting to stand out, but I think it's all of us, like you said, each individual, there's only so much we can do. And as people wake up to what's going on, I think there will be a change. I'm positive. I think people will wake up. I think it's going to be great. I do. I'm real positive. But what do they say? Like, we've only got like 4 or 5 minutes left today. Well, you talk to these, and I don't know if they like to be called extraterrestrials, or what do they like to be called?
Venusians. They're just brothers and
Venusians,
sisters.
brothers and sisters.
None of them are 30.
Well, what? See, and God bless them. We should have those machines that make us look young. But do they say that they see this happening? Because you were talking a little bit about the energetic change in 2023 and above, when the energy changes. Now, do you think that, and you say people who haven't seen the light and haven't woke up at that point, you see a shift for them? Talk a little bit about that before we get out of here.
Well, first I want to say I don't support chaos and causing stealing things.
Right.
We have to change and make arrests. We have to use citizens arrests. In these crowds, they're running. No one's seen Trudeau. No one's seen Newsom since October. They have a very sophisticated media control network, and those stations have to be shut down by military, and we have to expose the truth. But it's not going to happen from the people that are bribed and corrupted and are part of the network. They're the ones creating the problems. This has to be done by the local police and the sheriffs, and the military literally has to step up. But at the highest level, those are controlled by pretty much people that have been creating wars, and for profit, they always get a piece of the pie. So that culture has to change, and that's an individual aspect. As far as the positive things going, what's going to happen in the future, again, that's up to humanity. They have unwound a lot of the bad stuff. They really don't have any power because the frequencies are really going to change. So those people who unfortunately taken blood clots and all these various gene altering substances into their body, and we're all getting it to a certain extent by the air that we breathe, by the food, the genetically altered foods. Stay away from aspartame. All of that stuff is designed to give you illness and to shorten your life and to make pharma corporations rich. So we have to eat only real natural food, and we can turn this around. So, the solar flash or the micronova, is going to be an EMP, and that's going to stop everything. That stops our artificial intelligence by nature. That's God's divine.
God says enough is enough.
Yeah, we have, they'll be here to help us. And I'm hoping that we can get technology going and we can rebuild this planet on a positive note, get these
Yes.
crimes against humanity over with so we can have closure, recognize what happened. And we have to think outside the box. We're not going to have a president anymore, Nancy. We're
Right.
going to have a council of wise elders that are prosperous of their own merit, and those will be monitored closely for their allegiance to the life force. And
As
all
it
their
should be. As it should be.
yeah, and we're not going to have judges in the Supreme Court. Judge not, lest ye be judged. And
Right.
so we have to end the bigotry, the hatred. We have to wake up to the narrative of manipulation and control, and we have to follow the teachings of all the masters and of the avatars of light that have been sent to this planet to teach us the truth. And we have to throw out the religious dogma and bathwater, and we have to recognize that God has made allowance for different cultures to hear the same truths, and they all come down to love, the power of love and the power of community. And it's not about silver spaceships and spacesuits. It's about being kind to each other and having patience, having community, helping your brother when it's down. You don't walk to your $150,000 Laker side seat when there's a guy outside in the street. We have to have the law of allegiance. And the law of balance has to be inculcated into the hearts and the minds and the actions of the
Right.
people of the earth,
Right.
so that we are taking care of the homeless.
Love your fellow man. Well, people have forgotten. Love your fellow man. We're
Government
all,
to do it, right?
everybody. Well, I think everybody has, gotten away from, I go back to the 10 Commandments, which is what we were taught. So, gosh, Rob, I'm so glad you came on today. You'll have to come back.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you'll have to come back and see us. His website is thepromiserevealed.net. You guys, he's got a wonderful event going on in Mount Shasta in July, and we're going to be promoting that for him. He also has another event that is, when is it again? April 1st through the 4th, right? Yes.
That's my event. I'm just a speaker there. And
He's a speaker. He'll be there. Okay, cool. And that's also in Mount Shasta, right?
I'm doing an online conference on March 4th at Portal to Ascension.
Okay. And for sure, you guys, he'll be in Sedona, and I'll be there too to meet him at the Sedona Ascension. Yeah, March 18th through the 20th. All right, we got to get out of here today. So this is Nancy Yearout. If you guys want a psychic reading, an angel reading, go to my website, nancyyearout.com. You'll catch me on TikTok pulling angel cards every day. And I look forward to meeting you in Sedona. And God bless. Thank you so much, Rob, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Hey, everybody, take care and God bless. Have a great week.
You're invited to Sedona, Arizona for a Sedona Ascension Retreat taking place March 18th through the 20th, featuring world-renowned authors, speakers, and practitioners. This includes spiritual journeys into the sacred vortex sites of Sedona, as well as interactive workshops and a UFO skywatch. Visit SedonaAscensionRetreats.com.
Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the higher road.
Hey, you guys, join me next week on The High Road for more stories filled with wisdom, love, and hope for our future. Have a fabulous week, and know that by staying on the high road, you will make it to your destination. Visit my website, nancyyearout.com, where you can book a private session to learn how to tap into your own abilities. And check out my YouTube channel. It's Nancy Yearout's High Road to Humanity.
'Cause you can achieve your goal.